When we measure the physical world, we rely on this really comforting sense of absolute certainty.
Oh, definitely.
Like a kilogram is the kilogram, a meter is a meter. You can take a block of iron, put it on a scale, and the universe essentially agrees on exactly how much it weighs, no matter who is looking at it.
Right. It's a universal constant. It's objective, measurable reality. We rely on that stability just to function in our daily lives.
Exactly. It's clean and it makes sense. But the exact moment you introduce human perception into that equation.
Oh.
Yeah, that objective scale just completely shatters. We start weighing things not by their mass or their utility, but by something entirely invisible. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking something really unique today. It's an intensely concentrated microtext.
Yeah, we aren't looking at a mountain of research papers or some, massive 500-page book today.
No, not at all. We have something entirely different. It's a single profound thought that functions almost like a philosophical compressed file.
Which is so fun, because when you first look at it, it seems really simple. But the moment you start unzipping those concepts, you realize there is this massive architecture underneath. It gives us a very precise set of coordinates to explore human nature.
It really does. So the source material is titled 1Z, The Illusion of Value. And it provides exactly 5 conceptual tags. I'll just list them out. It's #brain, #consciousness, #psychology, #power, and #possession.
Right, and then it just delivers one central sentence.
Yep. Quote, what we possess subjectively seems more valuable, end quote. 16 words in total, including the title and the tags.
It's so dense.
It is. And our mission today is to philosophically and analytically unpack every word of this to understand a fundamental truth about how we assign worth to literally everything around us. Okay, let's unpack this.
To really grasp what's happening here, we have to look directly at the contrast between what is subjective and the concept of an illusion, which is right there in the title.
Right.
The absolute anchor of that core sentence is the word seems. What we possess subjectively seems more valuable. Is more valuable.
Right, so it's a perception issue, not a physics issue.
Yeah, exactly.
By calling it an illusion right out of the gate, we're establishing that the act of possession doesn't alter the objective reality of the item in question. Like, the block of iron does not actually get heavier.
No, the item remains exactly what it was before you owned it. The only thing that changes is the internal reality of the person holding it.
What's fascinating here is how this completely strips away the standard economic or, practical definitions of value.
Oh, completely. We're so used to thinking about value as a tangible metric. Supply and demand, utility, labor cost. But this idea frames value as a completely internal manufactured state.
Right, relying entirely on ownership.
Yes, it isn't a property of the object at all. It is literally a psychological symptom of possession.
Let's ground this with an analogy for everyone listening. Imagine a completely generic object, say a standard yellow mass-produced number 2 pencil.
Okay, classic.
You are standing in a factory looking at a bin of 10,000 identical pencils. They're objectively indistinguishable from one another. Same weight, same paint, same graphite.
Right.
But then you reach in and you take one. You put it in your pocket. The exact moment you take possession of it, this illusion takes hold. To your mind, it is no longer generic. It is your pencil.
Yeah, you'd actually be annoyed if someone took that specific pencil off your desk. Even if they immediately handed you another identical one from the factory bin.
Exactly. Because objectively, the wood and the graphite haven't changed at all.
But subjectively, an invisible layer of value has just been painted over it by your mind. I mean, think about how we do this with paper money.
Oh, that's a great example.
A $100 bill is just a blend of cotton and linen with some ink on it. Objectively, it's virtually worthless. But through a collective, subjective agreement, we all basically hallucinate that it has massive value. We trade hours of our lives for it.
That's a great comparison. Though with money, it's a massive shared cultural illusion. But what we're talking about today with possession is an intimate, highly individualized illusion. You are generating that value entirely on your own, just for that specific pencil or that specific coffee mug on your desk.
And that individual illusion is incredibly potent, which forces us to ask, if we are generating this illusion, this magic trick we play on ourselves, where and how is this trick actually being pulled off?
And that brings the first 2 tags into the spotlight, #psychology and #brain. We're looking at both the software and the hardware of human perception.
Let's start with the hardware, the brain tag.
Yeah, why would our physical brains be wired to systematically lie to us about the value of what we own?
Because for the vast majority of human history, that lie kept us alive.
Wow, okay.
It comes down to an evolutionary survival mechanism. Imagine early human ancestors. Resources are incredibly scarce. If you find a rock that cracks nuts perfectly or a spear that flies straight and you subjectively overvalue it, what happens?
You project it. You keep it close. You fight to hold on to it.
Exactly. And because you fight to keep those useful tools, you survive. You eat.
That makes total sense.
Right. If your brain didn't generate that illusion of heightened value, if you viewed your spear as totally interchangeable and didn't care if you lost it, you'd be at a massive evolutionary disadvantage.
So the brain actually developed a physical reward system for possession.
Yes. When you acquire something and claim it as yours, Your brain literally releases neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. It physically rewards the act of taking ownership.
Okay, so that's the hardware running its ancient survival programming, and the software, the psychology tag, built on top of that. As soon as an item crosses the threshold from theirs or nobody's to mine, our entire cognitive framework just rebuilds itself around that object.
Precisely. We start associating that object with our personal safety, our comfort, or even our social status.
Right. The illusion of value is a deliberate, biologically reinforced function. Our brains are physically wired, and our psychology is perfectly tuned to just inflate the worth of what we hold. But wait, I have to push back on this because there's a contradiction here that's bothering me.
Okay, let's hear it.
If my brain physically generates this feeling, like if there's a real measurable release of dopamine when I take possession of something and my psychology reinforces it over years, how is that an illusion? Like the chemical reaction in my head is an objective physical event. The emotional attachment I feel to my home or my favorite jacket is a very real experience.
Very true.
In fact, unlike a mirage in the desert that vanishes when you walk up to it, this feeling of value actually gets stronger and more permanent the longer I own the thing. So why label it an illusion if my biology treats it as absolute reality?
This raises an important question, and it really gets to the core of the human condition. You are absolutely right that the feeling is real, the dopamine is real, the attachment is durable.
Right.
But the illusion isn't the feeling itself. The illusion is the misattribution of where that feeling comes from.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning your brain generates a very real feeling of importance, but it tricks you into believing that the value emanates from the object itself.
Oh, I see.
You look at your favorite jacket and you think, this jacket is highly valuable, but the jacket is just fabric. The value is entirely a projection of your own mind.
That is wild.
We routinely lie to ourselves about the inherent importance of what we hold, mistaking our internal emotional state for an external physical property of the universe.
Ah, okay. So the object is essentially just a blank screen.
Yeah.
And our brain is the projector.
Yes.
We are constantly beaming our own internal importance, our own survival instincts onto the external world. The illusion is that we walk around looking at the screen, totally forgetting that we are the ones running the projector.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. We believe the movie on the screen is real life, and we get very defensive if anyone tries to mess with the screen.
Which leads us to a pretty dizzying place. Because if our brains are constantly running this projector, beaming inflated value onto every single thing we own, how deeply does this illusion permeate our existence?
It goes deeper than most of us want to admit.
Yeah, we aren't just talking about pencils or jackets anymore. And this transitions us from biology into the deep waters of philosophy, bringing in the next tag, #consciousness.
Yes. This is where we move from a simple biological quirk into the absolute foundation of human identity. By tagging consciousness, the implication is that this illusion is intimately tied to our very awareness of being alive.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Think about what consciousness is at its most basic level. It's the awareness of the self, the ability to say, I am.
Right.
But what this logic suggests is that human psychology is deeply uncomfortable stopping at I am. Very quickly, almost instantly, I am shifts to I have.
That's the evolutionary software kicking in again.
Yeah.
Our consciousness tries to anchor itself in the physical world. And to do that, it extends the boundary of the self to include the things we own.
It's like we absorb them.
Exactly. Our possessions become tangled up in our conscious identity. We literally expand our definition of who we are to encompass what we possess.
Just think about a time you accidentally threw something away. Let's say you're cleaning your desk, you sweep a bunch of papers into the trash, and suddenly you realize a receipt you needed was in that pile. Do you remember that sudden physical spike of panic?
Oh yeah, the adrenaline hits instantly, your heart rate jumps.
Exactly. Objectively, it's a tiny piece of thermal paper. It has zero intrinsic value. But the moment you realize it's gone, your brain reacts as if you've been physically threatened.
Because your consciousness had claimed that paper.
Yes, it was part of your expanded self. That panic is the dopamine system suddenly realizing an asset is missing.
It's the exact same psychological mechanism at play when someone's car gets scratched in a parking lot.
Oh, that's a perfect example.
Right. If you see a stranger's car get scratched, you might think, oh, that's unfortunate. But if it's your car, you don't just objectively observe that the metallic exterior of a vehicle you utilize has sustained minor cosmetic damage.
No, you lose your mind.
You get intensely angry, you feel personally violated.
Because the illusion is so strong, your consciousness has essentially absorbed the car. The boundary of you extends to the bumpers. An attack on the possession feels identical to an attack on the self.
The object becomes an avatar of our consciousness in the physical world. We overvalue what we possess because fundamentally we overvalue ourselves. Our self-preservation instinct bleeds into our possessions.
Okay, so if our consciousness is constantly expanding to absorb our possessions, and our brain is chemically rewarding us for hoarding those possessions, we have to talk about the final tag, the heaviest one of all.
#power.
Right. This is where the individual illusion scales up to shape the entire world.
Let's walk through that scaling process because it's staggering when you map it out. We start with the pencil. You possess it, your brain overvalues it, it becomes yours.
Then it scales to the car. Your consciousness absorbs it, A scratch feels like a personal attack.
Then it scales to a house, a piece of land. Now we aren't just talking about personal identity, we're talking about defending territory.
And then it scales to a corporate empire, to geopolitical boundaries, to nations, lines drawn on a map that designate this dirt as mine and that dirt as yours.
Right.
If consciousness links our identity to our possessions, and our brains are wired to systematically overvalue those possessions, what does that say about the concept of power itself? Does the pursuit of power just mean accumulating more and more things that our brain will chemically overvalue?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the inclusion of the power tag is the ultimate mind-bending conclusion here. Think about how power operates in human society. It is almost entirely defined by the accumulation of possessions: land, natural resources, capital, even the possession of authority over other human beings.
Yeah, the person with the most possessions dictates the rules.
The one with the most projected illusions wins.
Wow.
Exactly. But look at the stark reality this exposes. If the value of all those hoarded possessions is inherently an illusion, a subjective biological trick played by the brain to keep cavemen alive, then the entire architecture of human power is built on a phantom foundation.
It's a global house of cards.
Entirely. The human power dynamics we see every day, the massive empires we build, the wars fought over territory, the strict social hierarchies we enforce based on wealth, they may all be driven by this flimsy illusion of value.
That is heavy.
A powerful person hoards objects, land, and resources. Their biological hardware chemically rewards them with massive doses of dopamine. Their consciousness expands to identify with those vast possessions, making them feel incredibly important and invulnerable.
But objectively, if you put that empire on the universe's scale,
the universe sees no difference between the emperor and the peasant. The universe just sees carbon and dirt. The immense value of that power is a closed loop of self-deception. It's a biological glitch that we've organized our entire species around.
it implies that the emperor isn't just naked. The emperor is actively hallucinating the very concept of clothing, and through force and influence has convinced everyone else to share the exact same hallucination.
And that shared hallucination, that collective agreement to respect the boundaries of everyone's expanded, possessing consciousness is what we call society.
Unbelievable.
Our structures of power are just the internal illusion of value scaled up to a macroscopic global level.
It is genuinely incredible how much weight a simple 16-word thought can carry when you let the logic fully play out.
It really is.
We started with a basic observation about owning a utensil, and by following the causal links between the brain, our psychology, and our conscious awareness, we ended up deconstructing the psychological foundations of global hierarchy.
It reveals a massive interlocking system, a system that relies entirely on our physical brains to generate survival emotions.
And our psychology to misinterpret those emotions as external facts.
Right, and our conscious identity to merge with the objects we claim.
And finally, our societal structures of power to hoard and defend those illusions.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? We don't want to just leave this in the realm of abstract philosophy or geopolitical theory.
No, absolutely not. We want to challenge you to examine your own immediate reality through this lens. Take a moment and look at what you possess right now. The smartphone or computer you're listening on, the clothes you're currently wearing.
The keys in your pocket, the things sitting on your desk.
Really look at them as objective, physical matter. Ask yourself, how much of their worth is a genuine objective fact of the universe? And how much of that worth is a movie being projected in real time by your own brain?
It's a great exercise.
How much of your stress, your anxiety, or even your pride is tied up in things that are objectively just plastic, metal, and fabric?
Yeah.
It is a deeply unsettling question to ask because it threatens the ego, but it is also incredibly liberating.
It is liberating because once you see the projector running, you can never really unsee it. You gain a bit of distance from your own instincts.
Definitely.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought, extending purely from the logic we've unpacked today. Something to mull over long after this deep dive is done.
Lay it on us.
If human consciousness and human power are so deeply, inextricably tied to the illusion of value created by physical possession, what happens to a human mind if it suddenly possesses absolutely nothing?
Oh, wow.
Think of the ascetics, the monks, the people who willingly strip away every physical object, every title, every claim of ownership. When they do that, does the illusion of value vanish entirely, leaving behind a perfectly objective, clear consciousness? Or is our human psychology so fundamentally addicted to this evolutionary illusion, so dependent on that projector, that an unpossessing consciousness simply finds something invisible to claim?
That is a wild thought.
Do they just start overvaluing their own moral high ground, their own purity, their own enlightenment? Does the brain just swap a physical possession for an ideological one and run the exact same illusion?
Wow. When you put a block of iron on a scale, the universe gives you a cold, objective answer. But the human mind, well, the human mind is a scale that evolved to constantly rig the game in its own favor, whether we're weighing a pencil, a kingdom, or our own sense of enlightenment. We'll leave you to weigh that for yourself.